Hello, everybody. My name is Raj Athar, and I'm the Global Head of Technical Sales, Solution Engineering, Customer Success at DryIce. And I'm here today to talk to you about AI-led intelligence automation with DryIce's solution, iAutomate. So before I launch into that, a little bit about who DryIce is, and because the solution iAutomate is integrated with Mooksoft, a little bit about Mooksoft as well. So DryIce is the organic software division of HCL. And by that, I mean it's the division of HCL that features all of the solutions that have been built in the field by our subject matter experts. So all of our operations expertise has gone into the creation of these solutions. All of our 22 plus years of complex global IT ops management. We have partnered with some of the world's best AI research labs. We have over 200 customers with global presence all over the world and approximately 500 developers and over a decade of research and development behind us. Mooksoft is a leader according to EMA research in mission critical intelligent monitoring and has over 100 customers, several technology partnerships, headquartered in San Francisco. And the main thing is that both DryIce and Mooksoft are key partners of Amazon. So a little bit about our solution portfolio. As you can see over here, DryIce has quite a wide variety of products and platforms. I won't go through all of them, but I will say this, that the emphasis is on shifting left. The emphasis is on being more efficient and reducing costs, and at the same time doing all of this while mitigating risk. We have solutions across AIOps, service orchestration, digital workplace, and business process observability. But today specifically, we're going to talk about what I alluded to earlier, DryIce's iAutomate, which gives you AI-powered automated remediation. So what are some of the key drivers for automation? Well, despite the fact that things are easing up and things are opening up, a lot of operations and employees are still remote. Companies are talking about how in the new normal, that might continue to be to some extent. The new normal has resulted in high volumes of tickets and in some cases entirely new categories of tickets, right? There are a lot of tickets around being able to work remotely, being able to connect remotely, being able to communicate and collaborate remotely. So all of these things lead to a whole new category of tickets and much higher volumes. Because everybody is remote, you don't have the option to go tap somebody on the shoulder. So a very large percentage of these end up being escalations as people grow impatient with the inability of operations to very quickly fulfill their request or be able to meet or solve their particular incident. Because of the high volume and because this puts a large burden on IT operations staff, a lot of the remediations tend to result in errors. And this is compounded by the fact that they're already very highly manual, even in today's day and age. And all of this, of course, leads to a much higher cost of operations, which is further challenged by the fact that budgets are flat to shrinking. And finally, all of these exposures lead to potential security vulnerabilities, potentially security problems and concerns, etc. So Forbes said that over 90% of organizations are either planning or have already established an automation COE for AI-driven runbook automation. So let's talk a little bit about AI-based observability, which is where Mooksoft comes in, and the automated remediation of incidents. So in a typical large enterprise, or even not so large, you have servers, you have networks that connect them. These may be on-prem, they may be cloud-enabled or cloud-native. You might have a whole host of devices. You might have applications that run on these servers. So all of these need monitoring. And the monitoring of all of these results in a large volume of events. So being able to take all of these events and then being able to distill the events down to a probable root cause, being able to identify that of these 10 events, this one is actually my incident and everything else are symptoms of that incident or that root cause. This is where a solution like Mooksoft comes in to be able to do this in an automated fashion. Now, once you've identified that incident, somebody still has to, from an operations perspective, receive that incident, unpack that incident, and then identify a solution for it and remediate it. Being able to do all of these in an automated fashion is where iAutomate comes in. So iAutomate is an automated remediation solution that has machine learning and natural language processing built into it. The natural language processing is important, it's key, because a lot of incidents may not necessarily be machine generated. They could be created by operators, they could be created by end users, etc. So being able to understand, being able to unpack that incident, being able to decipher what the entity is in question, what the intent is of the person who opened the ticket, whether machine or human, etc. That's key, being able to do that. Regular expressions are only going to take you so far. So that's one aspect of it. The other aspect of it is that the solution actually learns over time. And I'll talk a little bit more about this in detail later on, but it gets smarter and smarter and more confident in the solutions that it recommends over time. One of the key steps in the automation journey is to be able to identify candidates for automation. So being able to look at all of your incidents, being able to take them and being able to very quickly understand that these are ripe for automation, what some of the automated solutions might be, that's key. Being able to hit the ground running is also key to rapid time to value. So you have 1,500 plus reusable run books. That way you're not building everything from scratch and you can repurpose a lot of these and hit the ground running. We also have knowledge assistance. So in the event that a solution was not found, we are able to suggest based on crawling, whether it's an internet site, whether it's an intranet site, you can set all of that. It's configurable. It'll crawl that. It will search for potential solutions and then pose those to the operator to pick them as a potential remedy for the incident in question. So a little bit about the reusable and configurable runbooks. As you can see over here, it's a very broad swath of runbooks that you get out of the box, whether it's network management, whether it's disk management, file management, user management, database management, Windows, Unix, Linux, cloud, etc. You name it, chances are that something already exists for that. We also have a significant diversity of automation. I talked about incident requests, right? These incident requests, again, could be machine generated, there could be operator generated, but it doesn't necessarily have to be an incident. You could have an operations SME look at a particular application or server or piece of infrastructure and identify something needs to be done to it. It could be as simple as just restart a process, right? So they create a service request for that, and then somebody has to act on that. Somebody has to take that action. It could be in the form of a change request. You might need to upgrade to a certain version. You might need to apply a patch or a hot fix or whatever the case may be. So you could have that come in as a change request and not necessarily incident or service. And all of these, well, certainly for service and change, they could be something that maybe you want to do on a scheduled basis. So if something needs to be bounced every morning, 3 a.m., you can set that up. Or it can be ad hoc. Somebody notices that garbage collection hasn't happened on an application in a while, and so that application needs to be restarted, and so decides that that needs to happen right away. You can do that in ad hoc fashion as well. All of this wouldn't be possible without some very key integrations. You may choose to have the incident be fed directly to iAutomate, or you might go through Gartner's incident management lifecycle, where you have the sense or the observe, and then you have the engage, where the incident manager creates a ticket within your IT service management solution, which then gets picked up by iAutomate and remediated. So some of the service management systems that we have integrations with out of the box, you can see they're the who's who of ITSM. You also have knowledge repositories that allow you to curate all of the knowledge that you've gathered. You also have the actual orchestrators that take that automated remediation step. And as you can see over here, we have integrations with a lot of the leading orchestrators out there. Some of the benefits of iAutomate in our journey with a lot of our customers, we have noticed that you can have a significant reduction in the number of incidents. This combination of Moogsoft and iAutomate can give you a significant number in reduction in incidents, as well as the reduction in the mean time to repair or resolve these incidents. So being able to identify that a particular thing is an event, is an incident, is only part of the problem. Somebody still has to fix it. And being able to do it in an automated fashion, being able to do it error-free and very rapidly is also important. And that's another significant benefit of iAutomate. Also, because you're doing this in an automated fashion, you're reducing the number of things that you're doing manually, and all of this results in a significant, up to a third reduction in your IT operations costs, a 20% improvement in your SLA compliance, and there are other additional benefits to your risk and your security vulnerabilities, etc. So a couple of success stories that I would like to talk about. So the 4 companies that we have deployed iAutomate in that we've decided to highlight for these reasons, starting with the first one, which is a Fortune 500 medical technology company with a very large 70,000 plus number of employees. iAutomate was able to handle 150,000 of their incidents over a period of a year. And the number of man hours saved, excuse me, staggering at over 80,000 man hours saved. And when you think about the fact that approximately 2,000 man hours is 1 FTE, that's a huge jump in efficiency and cost savings potentially, et cetera. But it's not just that. The mean time to resolve, right? The speed at which you're able to address those issues it's night and day. Right? You have close to a 90% reduction in your mean time to resolve. Similarly, another company with us, been on the journey longer, almost 2 years at this point, was also able to have a significant number, 270,000 almost incidents handled, several man hours saved, tens of thousands of it. But one of the things I want to point out, what this company did was actually achieve a zero-touch automation state. And I'll talk a little bit about it in the next slide when we talk about the journey. And then you have a couple of other companies as well that just in a matter of a couple of months were able to save almost 2,000 combined between them hours of an operations person actually doing something with a particular incident. So what does the implementation timeline look like? What does the journey look like with iAutomate? So step 0, before you actually go ahead and you put this into your environment, involves getting a sample of excuse me, tickets from the company. So this could be tens of thousands of tickets. It could be hundreds of thousands of tickets. This could be for 3 months. This could be for a year. What we ask is for a representative sample of the tickets and incidents that need to be managed, right? Or are potential automation candidates. So what we're able to do in iAutomate is we're able to ingest these tickets and we're able to run an analysis on them, which allows us to bucketize these tickets into various use cases or categories, right? And this is where, again, the natural language processing comes into play, because being able to understand that of your 100,000 tickets, 10,000 of them are just simply a CPU utilization threshold crossed type incident, right? And being able to understand and identify that these 10,000 are all the same incident, but come in 22 different flavors, because it could be CPU util high, it could be CPU utilization high, high CPU util, CPU crossed a certain threshold, et cetera, et cetera. There's a number of different ways in which it can come in. And just using string matching is not going to be able to give you that frequency distribution analysis of all of your use cases or your categories. So that's step one. Once we bucketize this, we will also identify that for your, let's say, your top 10 tickets, your top 10 call drivers, we already have 9 out of 10 of them. We have a solution for it, right, built out of the box, that built in, that you can now associate with that particular incident and set it up for automated remediation. So being able to identify those automation candidates, being able to do that analysis, that's step one. And that's really the start of the journey. Concurrently, you can integrate with your enterprise solution using our out-of-the-box integrations, or in the event that it's not covered by an out-of-the-box integration, we're still talking about just weeks to set one up from scratch. You configure and customize your runbooks for your particular environment for those identified automation candidates, and you're off to the races, right? At this point, iAutomate will receive those incidents and will start making recommendations to the operator in an automated fashion, using its machine learning and its natural language capabilities to identify and pop up potentially a handful of solutions for a particular incident. And then it's up to the operator to then pick which one of those incidents is appropriate for that. I'm sorry, which one of the remedies is appropriate for that particular incident. And it offers these up with a varying confidence levels. So, and what the operator's choice of a particular solution does is it increases the confidence in that particular solution for that particular incident. So this is what we call semi-automated mode. Now, you could stop there and you could say, I always want iAutomate to recommend a number of solutions, and for an operator to actually pick which one of those solutions gets executed. Or you can continue to iAutomate, though, even if you choose that, doesn't stop learning. iAutomate continues, as I alluded to earlier, continues to learn over time, continues to grow in confidence in the solutions that an operator has picked for those particular incidents. And so you can get to a point where you can say that if you have more than a 90-95% confidence in a particular remedy for a particular incident, then at that point, don't even bother involving an operator. Go ahead and resolve that incident, go through all of the validations and the checks, and close it out in the event that a ticket has been opened. And that is what we refer to as fully automated mode, right? It's fully automated, it's zero touch. Everything happens start to finish. The whole incident management life cycle happens in an automated, hands-free, hands-off human, without any human intervention mode. So that is what I was alluding to in the earlier success story slide, as the second company had achieved this particular state. So that's significant, being able to remediate these tickets without any operator being involved and being in the picture. So a little bit more about that step one and the ticket analysis. So this is a sample data set that we received. And one of the things that I wanted to point out over here is, so this is approximately 600,000 tickets that we got over a 12-month period, over a year, right? So this is an average. We're talking about 50,000 tickets a month. It's a significant ticket volume. And mind you, this might not even be the entire set. This could be a subset of the overall tickets. This is what has been spliced off as a potential for automation that we have run through our analysis engine. Okay. The other thing I wanted to point out over here is that of these 600,000 tickets, if you look at the top right-hand graph, almost 400,000, that's almost 2/3 of these tickets are low priority tickets. Okay. And these are the tickets that are typically ripe for automation. So a lot of the automation over here, a lot of the automated remediation that we're talking about, that we're alluding to, is not very highly complex automation that no human being can solve, or it requires 20 human beings to come together, operators and subject matter experts, in order to solve this. No, we're talking about things that require what we sometimes refer to as the no-brainer ones, right? Things that don't require a high degree of skill or experience or subject matter expertise. The very, very mundane ones end up being very often the highest volumes. things like a server running out of compute resource, things like something needing to be started or restarted, or some configuration needing changing or updating, or things like that. Things that don't require somebody who's been doing this for years and is a level 3 expert. Excuse me. So after having put these 600,000 odd tickets through iAutomate's analysis engine, this is a sample output that we were able to generate. So if you look at the right-hand side, these are your top call drivers. So just to give you an example, a good 61,000 plus tickets or incidents, right? And that's a good almost 10% of your ticket volume, is something as simple as just maximize CPU time on a Windows machine, right? Something as mundane as that is 10% of your ticket volume. And then you can read the rest of them going along, right? But a lot of these aren't things, these aren't head scratchers. These are things that we've solved and known about for years, decades, perhaps, etc. And so these top call drivers, these day one, phase one potential automation candidates are a good 60% of your overall ticket volume, right? And that's day one. And then you have potentially day two, which you can, in your next phase, take on, right? But this is what I mean, that it in a typical environment, a significant number of your incidents and your tickets are ripe for automation. We talked about top call drivers. In our experience, they tend to be what you see over here, right? Password resets, that's one that I didn't touch on. Something as simple as that. Active Directory account access, right? Why tie up an L3 resource? Why escalate? Because you're not getting things resolved quickly because your L1 doesn't have access to your AD instance, and so has to escalate, right? Because there could be several reasons why an escalation happens, but it shouldn't happen because none of these require a whole lot of expertise in order to remediate. So again, it could be 20 to 30% of your entire ticket population, your top call drivers. And in a typical scenario, your average resolution time for if you resolve an incident or a ticket manually can be up to an hour, or can be typically an hour. If you do this in an automated fashion, you can reduce that to 7 minutes. And I've got some more detail in the next slide coming up. If you do that, then guess what? From 60 to 7, you've reduced your mean time to resolve by 85%. So one of the reasons it takes an hour to resolve a ticket, even if you have a very efficient operation, even if you have folks who can do things very rapidly and are very good at doing things quickly, there are a number of hops that an incident has to go through, right? You get your alerts, then you have your correlation, you have your ticket generation potentially, then that has to get assigned, somebody has to diagnose it, et cetera, right? I'm not going to go through the whole thing and read it out from start to finish. But even if every single one of these steps was to take just a couple of minutes, right? If you add all of this up, before you know it, you've already spent an hour. And mind you, that's quick, okay? This is something that you'd be lucky if it was only an hour. In a lot of cases, it could be several hours, it could be a couple of days. As opposed to that, if all of these hops, right, only took you about a minute or a fraction of a minute or just a couple of minutes, all of a sudden you add that up, and now you're not looking at an hour, you're looking at a 7-minute resolution time. Your MTTR significantly improves, right? And all of this, because you're doing it in an automated fashion, is error-free. So it doesn't matter, you don't have to worry about the operator being tired or needing a bio break, or maybe just came back from vacation, et cetera, and it's 24/7. Okay. I've talked about the sample tickets already, so I won't go over that. So this is a significant improvement. And with that, I would like to end at this point. I'm not sure if we have any questions in the chat window. So question came in, how do you engage with customers? Because automation always takes time for customers to be accepted, especially if they currently don't really automate. Yes, absolutely. So a lot of customers whom we talk to haven't quite begun their automation journey. The first step in the automation journey typically tends to be runbook automation. And so that's what we can also help with, having them take all of those. It could take 12 steps to remediate a particular incident. You take all of those, you script those, you put them into a runbook, and now it's a single step. That's step one. Then being able to execute that in an automated fashion is step two, and what we talked about. Specifically, what happens is for folks who there's some amount of trepidation. I'm not sure, I'm not ready, my organization is too complex, etc. The way that we approach that is to say, give us a swath of your tickets, give us a sample set of your ticket data, and we'll come back to you, we'll do this analysis. And once we show them that a lot of the automation that we're talking about is very simple, no-brainer, mundane types of things, that usually eases it allays their concerns about, hey, I don't want automation, I don't want algorithms to run wild over here, and I don't want you to re-engineer my entire operations process and my operations team and the way in which I do things, and my enterprise systems. It's not like that at all. It's very simple, very mundane, no-brainer incidents, and that typically allays their concerns and allows them to take that step with us. So is it always full or no automation for an incident? Can dry ice also support partly human guided automation? Yes, it's not an all or nothing thing. You can carve out that for a particular set of incidents with a particular amount of confidence, that you can go ahead and set those aside for full automation, and the rest of them could still be human led and human guided and assisted. Those are the questions I had for today. I'm just a little over time. So with that, I will thank you for your time and enjoy the rest of your BizOps conference with Amazon.